Hello everyone, this is James Bobby, National Sales Manager for Roland Dry, and today I have the pleasure and the privilege to be here with Jim McGuire. Jim is the Director of Clinical Affairs for Vita North America. Hello Jim.
Hi James, how are you?
I'm doing well, how are you?
Thank you very much for this opportunity to partner, become partners, work as partners with our materials and the Roland milling units.
Absolutely, I'm excited because today I want to hear from you, the expert, a little bit about Vita Enamic.
Well, Vita Enamic is really a very unique restorative material that features a dual network structure, 86% ceramic, 14% polymer. It's available in both block and disc form, and Enamic is uniquely engineered to provide a ceramic structure to help decrease bending stresses, and the polymer is there to provide some slight resiliency for force absorption. And what this does, James, is that this unique combination, results in Enamic having an enormous load capacity with elasticity similar to natural tooth structure. So what this allows for is a fabrication of highly precise restorations such as veneers, inlays, onlays, and crowns, and preserving natural tooth structure and meeting the aesthetic requirements as well.
You know, one thing that I like about Vita Enamic is the fact that you can use it on a wet mill and a dry mill. And I think a lot of people don't realize the benefit of Vita Enamic because in any laboratory or dental office where they have used materials such as lithium silicate or lithium disilicate, is that there's a heat cycle at the end of the process, at the end of milling. And that heat cycle may take between 15 to 20 minutes. So I like, one of the things that I like about Vita Enamic is when you're done milling, you polish, you're done.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, what we see in both in the clinical situation and laboratories is that we're pressed for time, always for time. And as soon as we mill a restoration, we'd like to get that going and send it off, to the clinician as soon as possible. The post-processing of Enamic is easily done. We have a choice of either just polishing it. It's not treated as a ceramic restoration, so it does not have to be fired in a furnace. In fact, you don't fire it in a furnace. But you also have a choice if you don't want to polish it. You do have a choice of using a light-cured stain and glaze material for individual characterization and nuances, just as you see for a fired ceramic material.
So how long would you light cure the?
Well, depending on the light source, it will range from about 60 seconds to about 5 minutes.
Oh, so still faster than trying to put it through a heat cycle.
Yeah, many customers actually find that instead of polishing, they use the Enamic stains and glazes because it's a very quick process as well. Because it is light cured, most offices, laboratories, they have a light curing source, and most of the standard light curing boxes or operatory lights, curing lights work well.
So one thing that I get asked all the time is, how strong is the material?
That's a good question, James. We are often asked how strong is a material as well. But this question is more about material bending strength than it is about clinical relevance. When you mill out a dual structured material such as Enamic, we have the ceramic itself that acts like a reinforce that prevents or minimizes bending stresses. And then you have the polymer that acts like a force absorber. So when you mill it out as a crown form, and then you load it to fracture, the resistance of that fracturing is what's significant in a crown form. And Vita Enamic has an average fracture load as high or higher than compared to lithium disilicate or lithium silicate or the so-called hybrid type materials.
So having a higher megapascal, as some of the other products claim, it's not really a true representation of a milled crown. That test is done with a rod or a disc and put through a machine, and it's not really a real representation of what happens in the mouth, correct?
Exactly, that's correct.
So one thing I was reading is over 1 million restorations placed all over the world.
Yeah, actually, for Vita Enamic since 2013, in its when it was released, we've have over 1.5 million restorations been placed, successfully placed, that are going strong. We've seen many cases in the aesthetic zone, in the posterior zone for heavy occlusal areas. We have the Vita Enamic is a family of products. It's suited well because of its dual network structure, its capability of absorbing forces, masticatory forces. This material is ideal also for implant abutments or implant restorations to be fabricated out of this material as well.
So crowns, inlays, onlays, veneers,
implant
abutments, screw retained crowns.
Yes.
So pretty much
it's ideal for just about any case situation for a single tooth replacement or two structure replacement.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. One of the benefits of a material like Vita Enamic, again, I can't stress too much that it's a very unique material. There is no other material out in the field in the dental community like this for machinable material, especially for dental implants. It's something. Dental implants are something that's widespread. Most clinicians, most laboratories use materials for implant restorations. The Vita Enamic, because of its large load capacity, when you place it as a crown, there's data that suggests that the better the material that absorbs the load, occlusal loads, and distributes those forces away from the implant, the better the long-term health of that implant in the hard and soft tissue is. And Vita Enamic, actually, when you compare it to, say, a zirconia, it has over 70% more force-absorbing properties as a implant restoration compared to zirconia.
So obviously, not having periodontal ligament around an implant, it's one of the reasons why Vita Enamic would be an ideal product.
Yeah, very, very suitable. It deflects those forces. You're trying to, you have a static load, you have a static assembly between the implant and the abutment. And anything that we can do to support that implant long-term for long-term health and to drive those forces, those impact loads from chewing away from that implant interface, the better it is for that implant.
So for everybody watching, if you have a Roland mill, a digi-shaped mill, you can do create restorations using Vita Enamic, wet or dry. The material is absolutely fantastic. Vita has a reputation as a leader in the industry for materials. I would highly recommend anybody with one of the Roland mills to try using this in a case.
Yeah, I think you'll find that many of the Roland mill users out there will find that the combination between the Roland mill and, as you mentioned, whether dry or wet, these materials, especially something like Vita Enamic, it's ideal for milling in both conditions, dry or wet, and that the results are excellent. You've got very thin margins sometimes. The Roland mill is exceptional when cutting the margins, and we expect to have need that integrity of the marginal edge stability, especially in thinly walled restorations that are often required because of lack of space or a lack of preparation and so forth.
Well, you heard from the expert, Vita Enamic from Vita North America, Jim McGuire. A pleasure to be here today. Thank you for your time. Thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you, James.